I'm not comfortable with the police being visibly in the parade.
Decades of the Pride movement going forward, but critics say it left Black, Indigenous, and persons of color in its trail, even wiping out their contribution in the fight for rights. And some Black Lives Matter activists wonder why it took so long to get support.
I've been harassed by the police. It's traumatizing to be expected to celebrate Pride when that police brutality and the continued impact of over-policing on communities of color is not being addressed.
Black. I was told I was tainted. Lesser.
Melviak says LGBTQ2+ events shouldn't just be spaces and activism centered around white experiences.
Molotov cocktails were flying, and I'm like, oh my God.
New York, 1969, fed up patrons fight back against police raids of the Stonewall Inn. The landmark activism led by Black trans women like Marsha P. Johnson. Melviak says Johnson and others were erased from the narrative.
Really touches on making the movement respectable and acceptable to a white heterosexual public, right? It was, to me, to erase us from that movement was a matter of really upholding white supremacy.
Def Nicole Ellis identifies as non-binary and trans.
When you start to add more intersections to your identity, you start to see that people start to shun you or not listen to you as much or try to do these things because of these identities.
Nicole Ellis is inspired by the massive protests which come during Pride Month. But there's this big elephant in the room, as racialized members have been bringing forward their concerns for years.
There's been lots of talks and a lot of this is what's happening in our community that's echoing Black Lives Matter right now, and people have ignored it. And it's kind of funny to see them now, the same people, be like Black Lives Matter when you're like, what? Where were you a year ago, 2 years ago?
Calgary Pride banned uniformed police from marches after the 2016 event. It says it's prioritizing funding to racialized, Indigenous, and trans people for programming that starts in July. A statement says, in part, it is our ongoing vision to not just be allies, but to unravel, educate, and engage in the work required to be an accomplice.
One of the ways to move forward is to really take the lead from racialized people.
The revolution is here, thank God.
In Calgary, Crystal Ladarius, City News.